pathetic. The same guy is always being put over when it's supposed to be about creating superstars of tomorrow. And how can you create superstars of tomorrow by always having them lose to John Cena? I mean, how many times a year does John Cena lose? In 2012, that had to be the greatest year for a wrestling fan who hated John Cena. For someone who was absolutely, literally against John Cena, 2012 had to be your year. He lost to everyone from Kane to The Rock in pay-per-view matches, and now in 2013 he's trying to rekindle a past that he once had when he was on top of the WWE. 2013 was looked at as a momentous year for John Cena, and he turned his career around 360 degrees after having the worst year of his career, in the words of the voice of the voiceless, CM Punk. And I don't think a more accurate statement was ever dropped about John Cena. CM Punk said at the 2012 Slammy Awards that the 2012 season for John Cena was the worst season of his career, and I don't think a more accurate statement was ever made by a WWE superstar. CM Punk had beat him at Night of Champions, he had beat him at SummerSlam, he had beat him for every championship match they had through that year. Along with that, he had his ass kicked by Brock Lesnar, although he won. He had his ass kicked by The Rock. I mean, there were so many times throughout 2012 John Cena lost. So ultimately, that had to be the year of John Cena haters, because you were getting what you wanted. Now in 2013, with everything turned around 360 degrees for John Cena, you're not getting as much as what you wanted from 2012. And I'm sure a lot of wrestling fans go back to 2012 and watch all those pay-per-view matches because of how many times John Cena lost on a pay-per-view. I think the only pay-per-view where he was able to gain a little bit of momentum was either the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view and that ambulance match with Kane, which he had to win going into the match with The Rock, because he had to have some amount of momentum on his shoulders heading into the first match with The Rock at WrestleMania 28, and the Money in the Bank pay-per-view when he won the Money in the Bank briefcase for the first time ever in his career, only to cash it in and lose an opportunity on Raw 1000 for the title against CM Punk, which was one of the best CM Punk John Cena matches of that entire series. Now, the TLC match from TLC this past Sunday was the best match out of the series of matches between Randy Orton and John Cena since the birth of the rivalry back in 2002-2003, when they were winning individual singles championships. For John Cena, his first major singles title was the U.S. title at WrestleMania 20. For Randy Orton, it was the Intercontinental Championship by defeating Rob Van Dam at Armageddon in 2003, but in a match that was officiated by Mick Foley. That was a great match, by the way, the RVD Randy Orton match from Armageddon in 2003. That's one match that I throw up in the video section of our imagery form on our website, and that's one match that I always watch on YouTube when trying to put over how good of a talent Randy Orton has become. I actually had a chance to see Randy Orton and Rob Van Dam feud for the Intercontinental Championship at a house show when they were in that rivalry back in 2003, over a decade ago, and on a house show that match was even impressive. The matches were awesome between RVD and Randy Orton, and likewise for John Cena and The Big Show when they were feuding over the United States Championship. There was one match at the inaugural Tributes to the Troops show for the U.S. Championship where The Big Show challenged John Cena for the U.S. Championship, cashing in his rematch clause, and was unsuccessful, with John Cena winning the first ever Tribute to the Troops main event on NBC. It was awesome seeing that match, and we've seen many great matches with both John Cena and Randy Orton over the years, and this had to be one of the best matches, not only of their respective careers, but of this entire series of matches that we have seen between Randy Orton and John Cena. I threw up a retro John Cena-Randy Orton match for Cheap Shots with Jonathan Clarke on a Google video blog on our website, and it was from SummerSlam of 2007. If you go back to 2007, Randy Orton and John Cena matches were getting way too good, and I think that WWE put off having this unification match for the championship a little bit too long, and finally we had an offer to TLC, and I think that they were putting off the unification of the championships for a little bit too long. I mean, fans had wanted to see this for a long time. They wanted to see it long before now. They wanted to see it at least 5 years ago. They wanted to see the championships unified, and they probably would have wanted to see it unified between two better individuals and a tables, ladders, and chairs match. I mean, there are a lot of fans out there who preferably would have much rather seen a unification match between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, or The Rock and Brock Lesnar, than John Cena and Randy Orton. But again, it's supposed to be representing the New Talent Initiative, and I guess with John Cena and Randy Orton being at the top of the New Talent Initiative, the two representatives of the WWE had to collide in this match to fit with the times, because Vince McMahon McMahon himself has said many times that the times have changed, and as an industry, they have to change with the times as much as some wrestling fans don't want to have to change with the times. So they had to have a match between two top new talented superstars. Now, preferably, I would have much rather seen a collision between two legends for the championship rather than John Cena and Randy Orton, because I'm a fan of the Shawn Michaels, the Undertakers, the Rocks, the Brock Lesnars of the world, and I know you can't always have matches between these legends, but we had to settle for this match. If I were to rank this match on a 5-star scale perspective, I would definitely give it, because of its results and how it was played out, at least 4.5 out of 5 stars, taking a point off for how obvious this match was. I mean, weeks before this match, you knew who was going to win this match, and if you didn't know who was going to win this match, then you're pretty much an idiot, and if you're a radio host and columnist, you shouldn't be doing what you're claiming up to be good at doing, because you didn't see what was going to be happening. If you didn't know the outcome of this match, then you're a fucking moron. That's the obvious thing to say about you, and I don't want you to take any offense out of me saying that, but if you didn't see Randy Orton winning this match, then you're a fucking idiot, because it was just so obvious with how much momentum John Cena had going into the match, and usually that is the determinable outcome to a match. Whoever has the most momentum heading into a match, then obviously they're going to lose at the pay-per-view, and if they win, they have a legitimate reason for winning. The reason why The Rock had all the momentum going into the first match with John Cena at WrestleMania 28 was because it was The Rock, and it was The Rock's comeback to professional wrestling for the first time in almost 10 years. So The Rock had all the momentum, and he was obviously going to win because he had a lot of projects going on outside of the WWE. If The Rock was just coming back for the first time in, let's say, 2.5 years, then John Cena would have had a better chance and probably would have defeated The Rock in their inaugural encounter, and they put it off until WrestleMania 29. The Rock had a lot of leeway in that feud because of who he was, because of his stature in the wrestling business and having after done everything in the wrestling industry, and that's why he won. In this match, John Cena and Randy Orton are always there. There's never an off time for John Cena and Randy Orton unless they have a major injury. So with the amount of momentum that John Cena had going into this match, it was obviously a dead giveaway that Randy Orton was going to win either by Randy Orton's own influence or under the influence of someone who was going to get involved in this match, either costing John Cena the championship on purpose or inadvertently costing John Cena the championship, resulting in another match between the two of them or a triple threat match between John Cena, Randy Orton, and Daniel Bryan. One thing that WWE gave away was the fact that Daniel Bryan was going to be involved in this feud with John Cena and Randy Orton a week prior to the TLC pay-per-view during that championship ascension ceremony between all the champions, when John Cena said that Daniel Bryan gave John Cena one of the best matches of his career for the championship, and John Cena was looking forward to a rematch for that championship after he defeated Randy Orton at TLC. We obviously knew that John Cena and Daniel Bryan were either going to have a one-on-one match or Randy Orton was going to fit somewhere into that equation, setting up for a three-way match as early as the Royal Rumble, which takes place on January 26th, 2014. That date again, January 26th, 2014. And I want to know what your prediction is for the Royal Rumble. Do you see a one-on-one match between John Cena and Randy Orton, because the chances of that happening are pretty much still out there, or do you see a three-way match between John Cena, Randy Orton, and Daniel Bryan on the 26th of next month? I'm going with the three-way because that's the obvious outcome for the storyline, because having Daniel Bryan involved in this storyline would have no purpose at all if Daniel Bryan wasn't involved in this match. And the other obvious thing for Daniel Bryan to do would be the special guest referee for a match between John Cena and Randy Orton if he's not in the three-way. But the three-way match is pretty much the most obvious thing. And again, read the title on our YouTube video. How obvious is the storyline? It's very predictable, and you can pretty much foresee what's going to happen before it does, and that's why I've been pretty accurate when it comes to the storylines and more wrestling entertainment. You pretty much know what's going to happen before it happens on television, and I really wish it wasn't as predictable as what it was, because you need unpredictable television for ratings and pay-per-view buy rates to escalate. Without unpredictable television, you have nothing. And right now, I don't see unpredictable TV being produced by WWE. If anything, it's the most obvious outcomes to the most pathetic storylines that I've seen in years. We know it's going to be Randy Orton, John Cena, and Daniel Bryan in a three-way for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at the Royal Rumble. The only unpredictable thing that we have on television now is who's going to win the 30-man over-the-top rope single elimination Royal Rumble match to earn an opportunity at the championship at WrestleMania 30. That's the only thing we're watching television now over the next month and a half to find out who's going to win the championship opportunity at WrestleMania. And I made a couple of predictions here on our YouTube channel. I predicted that Daniel Bryan, CM Punk are two of the obvious suggestions to win the Royal Rumble match. Now that's not if Daniel Bryan is in a three-way match with John Cena and Randy Orton for the championship of the Royal Rumble. If he's not in a three-way match and it's just John Cena and Randy Orton for the title without any involvement from Daniel Bryan, then Daniel Bryan will obviously win the Royal Rumble match. If it's not him, it's going to be CM Punk. If it's not CM Punk, it'll be someone like Brock Lesnar, who returns to shockingly win his first Royal Rumble match in over 11 years. Those are some of the early predictions I'm making for the Royal Rumble. Those aren't accurate assumptions that I'm making about the Royal Rumble, because the Royal Rumble could be won by anyone, a new talented national wrestler or a legend, and I invite you to join the conversation we began on the Royal Rumble. I know it's only early and we're a few weeks away from the Royal Rumble. We're over a month and a half away from the Royal Rumble, about 4.5 to 5 weeks away from the Royal Rumble, but I want to know who you're predicting to win the Royal Rumble match. Are you going to concur with what I'm saying about CM Punk and Daniel Bryan as obvious predictions to win the Royal Rumble, or are you going to predict someone who I haven't predicted and overseen as the winner of this year's Royal Rumble and going to WrestleMania?